travels all across the world in a matter of click. And that's what we're going to talk about. This session is about story, screen, and scale, and it's about that journey of how India's creative voice is being amplified by technology. And now, without any further ado, I'm sure that you all want to know and you all are excited to know more about it. I would like to invite on stage our host for this session, Mr. Ashish Kulkarni, to please join us here on stage, founder of Punaryug Art Vision Private Limited, to please join us here on stage. A big warm welcome, sir. Everybody, let's hear it up for our host, who's going to help us navigate this entire conversation and help us, get the perfect questions out of us. So a big warm welcome, sir. Thank you so much for joining in. Thank you. I would now like to call the speakers here on stage, and one by one the speakers come. I'll request the host to welcome them with a bouquet. I would like to invite on stage Mr. Ajitesh Sharma, founding president, Indian Comics Association, to please join us here on stage. Everybody, while the speakers come, I'll request you to please put your hands up together, because that's the only way we can tell that we're excited with their presence and we're really looking forward to their insights. So a big warm welcome. Sridhar, founder of Purple Talk, to please join us here on stage. Welcome, sir. I would like to invite Mr. Sanjay Gupta, co-founder of Raj Comics, to please join us here on stage. Mr. Manish Agrawal, founder of K-Gen, to please join us here on stage. Welcome, sir. Mr. Akshat Rathee, Director of Business Development, Nordwin Gaming, to please join us here on stage. A big warm welcome, sir. Definitely a wonderful panel, and we're really looking forward to see that how story, screens, and scale, India's creative tech rise is going to bring the real change. So over to our host, looking forward to a very interesting discussion.
Thank you so much. In fact, we have a very powerful panel right now. So we have some creators who are actually the founders of the Indian comics and also the complete universe of the Raj comics here. So I would like to basically start with Sanjay ji. To actually kickstart today, we had some sessions that we did in the Comic-Con yesterday, and that was a great beginning for us. A big thank you to the TiE global team and the Rajasthan DigiFest team for putting these panels for us together. So I would actually get you to really start with comics. We have AVGCXR. A stands for animation, then we have visual effects, gaming, comics, and extended reality. Sanjay ji, the most important thing is that the foundation was laid a long time ago in India, and you've been at the helm of the affairs, creating some of the iconic characters, from your kitty. Please tell us about how it was creating this complete universe of characters, and where do you really see them going in the future?
धन्यवाद आशीष जी. नमस्कार राजस्थान, नमस्कार रामा. 40 साल हुए. 86 में राज कॉमिक्स मेरे पिताजी ने, राजकुमार गुप्ता जी ने, मेरे ब्रदर मनोज गुप्ता जी ने शुरू किया, और एग्जैक्टली ये 40 साल पूरे हुए हैं इस साल. तो नागराज से शुरू हुआ था ये सफ़र, और एक सपना था कि हिंदुस्तान का अपना एक सुपर हीरो हो जिसको भारतवर्ष के सभी युवा, पूरी जनता जिसे अपना सुपर हीरो कह सके. तो उस समय मैं 18 साल का था, और 18 साल मैंने कॉमिक्स पढ़ के गुजारे, चाहे वो किसी मैगज़ीन में हो या कॉमिक्स जैसे इंद्रजाल है, अमरचित कथा है, और इस तरह की सभी कॉमिक्स मैंने बचपन से पढ़ी थी. और सबसे ज़्यादा जो मुझे पसंद आते थे वो सुपर हीरो पसंद आते थे. सुपर हीरो जो कि एक सुपर पावर्स के साथ है, सुप्रीम पावर्स उनके पास होती है, वो एक आशा देते हैं और सुरक्षा का भाव देते हैं, जो कि हम अपने या तो पिताजी में देखते हैं या अपने परमात्मा में देखते हैं। तो परमात्मा अगेन हमारे लिए सुपर हीरो हैं। वेस्ट में इन्हें सुपर हीरो कहा गया और हमारे देश में बहुत समय से उन्हें परमात्मा कहा जाता था, जो कि अगेन हमारे लिए आशाओं और सुरक्षा की भावनाओं के अलावा नैतिक और बहुत सारी चीज़ें जो हमें देते हैं। तो मैंने और मेरे ब्रदर और पिताजी ने ये नागराज को शुरू किया और एक बार जब ये नागराज आ गया तो हमारा सपना हुआ कि हम इसका एक पूरा यूनिवर्स बनाएं। उसके साथ ही फिर डोगा, भोकाल, शक्ति, इस तरीके से बहुत सारे कैरेक्टर्स बनते चले गए और ओवर द पीरियड ऑफ 40 इयर्स एक पूरा मल्टीवर्स जो है वो शेप लेता चला गया। और अब मुझे लगता है कि आई थिंक मैंने अब तक 500 कॉमिक्स जो हैं वो लिखी हैं और 500 से ऊपर हमारा यूनिवर्स है कैरेक्टर्स का। 2500 कॉमिक्स मैंने एडिट की हैं 40 सालों में। और आने वाले समय में मैं अल्फ़ा कॉमिक्स लेके आया हूँ, न्यू जो जनरेशन है उनके लिए, और उसके अंदर हम ऑलरेडी 50 कैरेक्टर क्रिएट कर चुके हैं। तो मैं अपने जो है एक आईपी इंजन देश का, भारत का बनाने के उसमें हूँ। मेरा विज़न है कि हमारे देश से बहुत सारा आईपी जनरेट हो और पूरे ग्लोबल सिनेरियो में हमारा देश जो है वो एक बहुत बड़ा आईपी का हब बने। और अब ये रेडी है कि हम इसको फिल्मों में, गेमिंग में और जो वेब सीरीज़ हैं उसमें, एनिमेशन में इसे ले जा सकें। बहुत अच्छा समय है। सरकार ने एवीजीसी पॉलिसी के तहत हमें बहुत ज़्यादा सहयोग और आशा का जो आश्वासन दिया है, मैं उसे बहुत पॉजिटिव उसमें देखता हूँ। और मैं विश्वास करता हूँ कि हमारे देश के अपने सभी जो 140 करोड़ के जो हमारा देश है उसमें सिर्फ कंज्यूमर या लेबर बन के ना रह जाए, वो एक आईपी जनरेटर बने। ये मेरी मानना है और शुभकामनाएं हैं। धन्यवाद।
Thank you so much. A big round of applause for Sanjay ji. In fact, we have grown up with all these characters, and now it's time that we actually get them to the digital platforms. We are talking about, ideation to script to screen phenomenon that actually goes through. In terms of the whole ecosystem that we have seen today developing, that people earlier used to read newspapers, read books, then actually it went from physical books and newspapers to reading it on your digital platforms, and right now they all want to watch videos to learn about things. And I think that's the big ecosystem that we have seen developing, and AVGC XR actually have been contributing a big deal to enable creators to actually tell their stories globally. Having said so, we have the very foundational skills that actually come through the comic book creation, because that's the easiest way to copyright your ideas, also to make sure that you have copyright of your story as well as your design. And I think that's something which has been learned the hard way for many people who actually migrated from providing services to global studios and then creating IP. Having said that, we have now the Indian Comic Association, and we have the president of Indian Comic Association with us. So Ajitesh, my question to you is that how are you planning to scale this whole ecosystem? How many comic book artists do you think are there, and how are we going to really take it to the next level from there?
Yeah, thank you, Ashish ji. So Indian Comics Association started in 2023, and now in last 2 years we have a group of Indian comics publishers, and we have also started create a membership for creators. And to answer your question, there are lots of creators in East, West, South and North regions of India, and what we are trying to do now is focus on the zonal chapters of associations slowly, so that we can connect with the creators in a better way. And ours, as you rightly said, that comics is a medium through which we can copyright our thing. And for me also in 2022, when I started my comics label Cinemix, it was a way to adopt some of our film IPs, which we are not directly able to make to films into comics. And later it was pitching those IPs to the higher media forms. And the session which is on screen to script to screen to scale, right now what is happening is the comics, although it's one of the base IP, to convert it into a transmedia project, we have to wait. We have to wait for certain producers. We have to wait for other media partners to convert into a transmedia project. But now what we are approaching is through various AVGC associations. We are connecting with other animation, VFX, gaming companies. And what we are trying is to connect this IP at the very start. So if companies like animation companies, VFX company, gaming companies are associated with the comic company from the very start, then we can conceive as a transmedia company. And the idea is not to wait to convert this IP into a transmedia IP, but from the very start, make it a transmedia IP. And that's the way to take it forward, just like how manga did it or MCU did it. So, yeah.
So, having said that, how many the feature film characters and the brands come to the comic book for promotion? I had seen when Bajirao was released, the comic book was released first, and the comic styling in the form of the motion graphics was also released. So how many such producers you think would take help of your ecosystem?
So if we see 90s, the use of comics in branding and even promoting feature films or other characters was very high. Even Air India, Railways, NTPC, Indian Electricity Board, they were using comics as a brand medium, and Bollywood was also using it. Right now, we have seen certain cases where, like Krish, Miral Morley, and many IPs which are going into comics, but maybe the producers are not getting the maximum benefit of the distribution of these comics, because comics industry itself is facing that challenge. So once we are able to overcome the challenge of distribution, then the comics as a branding medium for feature films will also, I think, the use will enhance, and it will go back to the original level of 90s. And for that, the confidence of comics as a medium, that's what we are here for, to increase the awareness about the C, and also to promote it as a medium which is the most economical and most fastest way of converting your IPA into a proof, as well as to to make it as a pitch for converting into other higher media forms.
Thank you so much. In fact, we would like to also bring to your notice that we have a very big parallel event happening along with the TiE Global Conference. It's called the Comic-Con. And the Comic-Con India founder is also here with us. So please give him a round of applause. We have seen Comic-Con grow over a period of time, and now it's owned by Akshat, Rathee's Nodwin Games. In fact, this is the very first time that we are doing Comic-Con in Jaipur. And Comic-Con actually created a platform for all these comic book artists. And if you have not visited, please make sure that you go and visit there today. It's in the second hall in the end from here. And you would be able to see the energy and the complete comic ecosystem evolve there, and the youngsters, the way the pop culture they are imbibing, and making sure that this is something is becoming a movement. So my question to Akshat is that, Akshat, how have you grown Comic-Con in India, and how are the plans of growing it further, scaling it to the next level? And what are the opportunities for the youngsters who actually could come to Comic-Con and make their careers into storytelling?
Thank you, Ashish. I think, Jatin and I have known each other for about 5 to 7 years. I'm a comic book fan, I'm a nerd. And over time, I used to be a visitor at Comic-Con. I used to be a visitor in the US Comic-Con. Then we're elevated from being a visitor to being an exhibitor of a very small stall, then an exhibitor to a very large stall. And then one day I took the largest stall at, largest space at Comic-Con. and over time then became an investor, then went and acquired it. It's been about 2 years. We started off with 5 Comic Cons that were happening at that time, and we've scaled this up this year to about 10 that we are doing this year. And the idea is to go ahead and take it to Dubai, to go ahead and take it to others. And remember, we are in the IP business, and for us, the extension of Comic Con across the world is still the same IP that we go ahead and go build. And to us, the celebration of Comic Con is a 4-part, 4-vector which is there. Of course, it's got the creators. These are the people who have made the comics and are the future creators who are going to be making more comics. It's about culture, so whether you'll see cosplay being such a big part of our entire activity that is there. And cosplay comes from the characters themselves, but it lets a big expression of interest for, expression of passion from young people to go ahead and say, this is what I identify with. Then there's music and comedy that always goes and becomes part of it. And then we are also seeing one very interesting part, which is where Nodwin Gaming comes, which is the gaming part of it. And as we talked about transmedia, I think young people do not go ahead and identify only with one aspect, right? As an example of Jatin and I, we both like Star Trek. So I'm wearing a Star Trek t-shirt right now, but there is going to be Lego of Star Trek, there is going to be content of Star Trek, there is going to be movies of Star Trek, there is going to be comics of Star Trek, there is going to be... So as long as young people can go ahead and not just bounce off the culture, but actually get deeper and deeper and deeper. The single click, the double click, and the triple click. As long as you can give the people at the top who are at the outer layer someone for a little more engagement, and for the super fans that they can go ahead and do this. If you can give that experience in the world of digital, physical will go ahead and elevate itself to be one of the largest value creators in the world.
So, Akshat, we have seen a lot of other brands like Maruti Udyog to many others who are a part of Comic Con. What attracts them to Comic Con in this?
Everyone says that it's a little bit of a dichotomy where we believe that in the age of digital, everyone can be reached digitally, right? So why is there then for people on this should be the easiest to go ahead and do this? Young people are not on this, right? Yeah. Because they natively understand how to go away from ads, right? The ad industry is among the top 5 industries in the world, and it's one of the most hated industries in the world, right? So people actively spend not wanting to watch ad. Premium subscription on HD, premium subscriptions on Netflix allowed you not to watch ads, right? The amount of money that people go to pay to not have ads is funny. So, but young people also do that, right? And then with age gating on advertisements, how you can reach out to them, it's very difficult to reach a young person in India. I kid you not, and I'll take a 1-minute example to go ahead and do this. Manish, who's sitting here, he used to be at the CEO of Nazara, and he was our first investor and backer and one of my closest friends who we always have these conversations with. Did you know that when you are on this, and you're a parent, and a lot of us are parents here and grandparents here, so if you're here, your kid who's 10 years old, who you give your phone to play Candy Crush or Temple Run or any of the latest games that they're doing, even Roblox, you know what the advertising company sees? The advertising company sees a 44-year-old person playing Roblox. Because I don't create a kid's profile to give this, right? I give this phone to the kid and the kid starts playing. So the parent is suddenly seeing, so if I'm seeing Choo-Choo TV as a 44-year-old person, right? But the advertiser sees a 44-year-old person. The advertiser has to guess, maybe this person has a kid who they're going in, but there is no kids profile for kids. India doesn't make kids profile for kids. Whether it is on iOS or Android, 1% of the 1% of the 1% might be making those profiles. So the entire way to go ahead and reach out to a young person empirically at every single time is Comic Con. Otherwise, you can't get to a young person, right? How do you go ahead and take mindshare? You can go ahead and do advertisements on Cartoon Network, but nobody watches Cartoon Network anymore. You can do it on YouTube, but YouTube doesn't let you advertise to kids. and it's suddenly a 44-year-old person who's watching YouTube, and who do you show this ad to? And that 44-year-old person has YouTube Premium, and so is not going to go ahead and let you see ads, because parents are worried what ads to show. So how do you reach out to young kids is actually a phenomenal problem statement which we try to solve.
I think last 2 days that we have seen fabulous traction where grandfathers, grandmothers, and even parents bringing their youngsters to Comic-Con and actually buying comic books which they were actually, growing up with. And I saw some of the grandparents telling them that when we were growing up, these were the stories and you should read these stories, these characters were there. But at the same time, we are seeing some of very unique design that will come to, I'll come to that part, defining the Indian design as we move forward. But having said that, we would actually quickly go into some aspects of the animation per se and the visual effects. Some part of visual effects we have seen in the last panel that we had, and we work a lot with both the gentlemen, Deven Deshpande and C.V. Rao. But having said that, India actually was growing up with providing animation services and visual effects services to the global players, and today it is inevitable for any player whatsoever in the filmmaking ecosystem that they either have a partner in India or they have their own GCC set up in India. And post-COVID, we have seen ILM set up in Mumbai, and they've grown to 500 people just in the matter of about 18 months. And just before they came the Frame Store, the people who created Gravity and this kind of movies, and they've grown to 900 people in 2.5 years' time. And I was talking to their CEO, and they said that India is the only country in the world today where you can actually go set up a studio and can scale to this level instantly and start giving results in the first quarter itself and start providing output from here. And that's why the kind of the conscious pyramid that we built over a period of time for skills. At one point in time, India was considered to be only having an cost arbitrage, which moved away in 2010-11 to China, Malaysia, Cambodia, and few other Indonesia. But people who actually cared about quality came back to India from 2011-12 onwards. And now it's a great combination of cost arbitrage and the skills arbitrage in our space, because it's not only about technology, it's about the creativity and the complete marriage between creativity and technology and the whole understanding of the value chain. And it constantly changes because we have new technology knocking our door now every 6 months. Earlier it was like it used to come, the new versions used to come 2 years, 3 years from the previous version. But it's kind of changing the ball game. And let me tell you, the word AVGC XR was coined by me. I coined AVGC in 2000 and then added XR to it in 2017. And while we were building this whole ecosystem consciously, we realized that we needed to have a separate policy by itself, because most of the governments understood only film side of it, or they understood only IT side of it. They didn't understand when the creative and the technology has to be mixing together. We needed to create curriculums that are techno-creative. We need to build two silos merged into one, and that's how we have created something called as Indian Institute of Creative Technologies, which is the first ever institute being set up in Mumbai. I am the founding director of the same, and most of these gentlemen are our advisors. This has come after 20 years of push to the government, and it's on the lines of IIT IIMs that we are setting up the first ever Indian Institute of Creative Technologies. And the kind of nomenclatures of the programs we have there are like bachelors of creative arts and sciences, bachelors of graphic arts and sciences, we have immersive arts and sciences, and many, many more. We have MBA in fan engagement, fan management, esports management, and many others. We have a complete school on emerging intelligence, because we believe it's not only AI which is going to be useful to the whole ecosystem of storytellers. It's emotional intelligence rather than AI, and we need to really balance it out. And we also need to worry about the behavioral intelligence because we deal with audience and connect with audience in a big way. And having said that, the complete ecosystem of storytelling, we are talking about transmedia, it's about one single story and the character today actually cutting across multiple mediums, because there used to be a time that there was a South Indian movie and people sold rights in Hindi, people sold rights in Bengali and few other things. Today, because of AI and the complete technology intervention, we are able to release films in 11 Indian languages at the same time. And that's something which is unprecedented. And today, we need to really see it's not only about the same medium. We need to be in transmedia. We need to actually be present in multiple forms of storytelling at the same time. Having said that, the most immersive storytelling actually happens with the video game industry. And we have Sridhar, who is presently the president of Indian Game Developers Association and also runs a very successful studio. And we also have our vice president, Manish, here, Manish Agrawal. And I had an opportunity to work with Manish when we both were in Reliance. When I was creating Little Krishna, Krishna Orkan, Shaktiman, he was creating our games for all these shows. So I would like to know from Sridhar right now as to what's the vision of India that JEDI sees. Where do you want to see gaming, the video gaming ecosystem grow in the next 10 years? And what are the ingredients that are going to be really looking at making this a robust ecosystem? Knowing that we presently have 600 million active smartphone users, we also have data that is going to, that's looking at mid-2026-27, we will be about 1 billion smartphone users in India. India is a mobile-first market, whereas people globally talk about the console games. So if you can actually bring in the whole spectrum and the arc of the video games for our audience today, and what is your vision for the next 10 years?
Thanks, Ashish. Just to take a step back, globally, video gaming generates over $230 billion a year, right? And India accounts for like little over 1% of that in terms of revenue as well as the consumption too. And as you said, we account for over 20% of global gamer base, right? So we, over 600 million gamers in India, but we have less than 1% of global gaming revenue. And if you look at it, one of the reasons for that is India has about 300 to 400 gaming studios. What we will call tier 1 would be like less than 100. And so from Game Developer Association of India, as well as the Indian government or the other state governments, overall, what we are all working towards is how do we take that in next 10 years to 5,000 odd gaming studios. And yes, that's the goal we've set ourselves, but the bigger problem is the talent shortage. We have a lot of raw talent in India. We have a lot of people who are good at things. It's just that they just don't have the experience to, build games. So we presented to the government, as well as we're working with different state governments and central governments, a framework on how do we take students to all the way to studios, right? Or building studios. So the framework is basically, we want some of our top schools, IITs, NITs, IIITs, and others, as well as NIDs. How do we get, and as you know, we are already working with IICT, how do we get gaming curriculum in as many schools as possible? Get at least 25,000, 50,000 people to be exposed to game design. And if that happens, a small percentage of them will choose to become game developers, because there's just so much talent. It's just that we don't want them to join a company and learn game design, game development. That's just too late, right? We need to start at grassroots level. So it's a talent issue. And once that solves, then the second thing is how do we get them those initial funding to get them to start companies, right? So again, as JEDI, Game Developer Association of India, we're working with over 8 to 9 states right now to see if we can set up a Center for Excellences as well as incubation apprentice programs so that we could get those initial funding for people who are trying to build things. Because we, as I said, the opportunity is $230 billion right now, growing at almost 16% a year, right? And we cannot afford to not be in the space. And government realizes it, but it all comes down to talent. You know, if we can figure that out, and that's where Ashish, you've been awesome, right? You've been championing this space, and you envisioned IICT, and now we have that. So we need more of those kind of initiatives where we can get more talent into the space, I feel like once we do that and then get them access to funding, we could be one of the top 3 in the world in the next 10 years.
So, we talked about the school curriculum. National education policy actually made sure that we could actually introduce creative arts, performing arts, design, and sports into the school curriculum from the 6th grade. We were gunning for 1st grade onwards, but we couldn't succeed that time. We got it from 6th grade. A lot of people, I believe, that we are talking to the governments. In the central, we have CBSE, ICSE, then we have the state boards. And it's a part of our policy that we are talking to each one of them to make sure that they are having a curriculum which gives you a pathway, like, the engineers have physics, chemistry, mathematics, biology for, medical science, and then they have a commerce pathway. How do you think we will have a creative and design and techno-creative pathways defined for the schools?
So I look at it a little bit differently. It doesn't have to be this or that. You can be an awesome engineer and also an awesome designer, right? So the way we should do it is we shouldn't ideally try to nudge them toward one space too early, but expose them to the industry and the opportunities in it, and how do you go about it, right? So we all play cricket, right? And, there is a way to play cricket in a huge ground. There's a way to play cricket in a gully, right? And we're all game designers, born game designers. When you're playing a video cricket in your gully, you make your own rules. If you hit this side, you're out. Or if and it's fun for you, right? Because maybe it's a practical reason because there's a neighbor who hates you there, whatever it is, but we're all born game designers. It's just that people need to be taught fundamentals of what game design is very early on, so that some of them choose to become game designers eventually, right? So become an engineer and a game designer, become an artist and a game designer, right? That's the path we want people to take up. Just expose them to the industry. And eventually, some of them will become, and that's where we could, we could become something in this industry, right, globally.
So I think what NEP has done post 2020, and we are in implementation, is brought in a level playing field for the creative and design and sports ecosystem along with science and commerce. So that's not going to be enough. We need to really, as an industry, go and guide them, because people cannot be taught engineering, people cannot be taught, gaming or animation or visual effects into the school curriculum. But they need to be shown the pathway that they would select this as a career. At the same time, there's a big challenge from the teachers and the parents that they don't want their kids to be doing something like this. They always want to do something like a extracurricular activity and stick to your science and commerce. So as an industry, as JEDI, what is an awareness that you're really wanting to bring?
So we are not against that thought process. What we want to do is, as JEDI, we have come up with, summer boot camps for kids, as well as semester programs schools can adopt as a vocational program within schools, so that they could be exposed to game development, right? I'll give you an example. As Game Developer Association of India runs the India's largest gaming event or game developer event called IGDC, Indian Game Developer Conference. And every year we used to do this thing called Game Jam Titans, right? And every year the idea is we college kids, high school kids, we do it sort of like a game jam, which is in technical terms, it's a hackathon where kids come together, build games and show off. And we've now, for past 3 years, we've started seeing results of what we've done 12 years back. Some of the most successful indies right now, people who've been funded by Sony and others, turned out to be the kids who won awards in Game Jam Titans 10 years back. And that's, it's just that they just needed to be told that this exists. And many of them probably gave up, but some of them actually became pretty high-end game developers, right? So we don't necessarily need to teach them everything, because the great thing about the digital age we live in, all the knowledge is available to you, right? It's just that we just need to show them a little bit pathway and the opportunities, and people will learn on their own.
Thanks so much for that insight. In fact, going to Manish, ji, in fact, you've built some of the biggest companies, you've worked with some of the biggest companies, now you have your own startup. It's a tall order to look at India having 5,000 gaming studios in next 10 years, and I think the complete thought leadership with JEDI is to really get there, and I think the ecosystem is right now to really look at planning this. How do you think India will be able to scale this whole ecosystem and to achieve these numbers that you have set it for the industry to grow there?
See, my view is the 5,000 is a very pessimistic number. I believe the way we are still thinking is 2 years N-2 thinking. With the AI now really coming in, I see that distinction between consumer and creator is going to blur. And I can also create a game because I am no more limited to having an engineering knowledge or an animation knowledge or graphics knowledge, because the democratization of all those specialized skill sets is already happening, and it is our job as JEDI to really kind of provide platforms where we work with a lot of foundation models and kind of really bring it in few clicks. Voila, you can go and create your game and you can publish it. So in my opinion, goes back to the motivators. Now, at different stages of life, you have different motivators. When you are growing up, your parents want to have you secure career, stable career, but they also want you to bring some social glory to them through their micro social circles. And hence, while they may want you to pursue STEM or medicine or whatever, such platforms which can bring glory to them will be same as, like when we were growing up, my sisters were learning Kathak and my father wanted them to perform Kathak, and beta Kathak karke dikhao. So the way you can create games, if it becomes so easy, that will create massive adoption and acceptance in the households, where people will say, wow, mera bacha talented hai. And I think that is one thing which we really need to kind of work on from to build and change the perception that gaming is bad, gaming is good. I think that is one clear thing which AI enables us to do that. And the second is, as you kind of progress in your career, the ability to kind of imagine and visualize and be very clear and be very iterative and agile is what will kind of really make this 5,000 completely a very, very small number. Because, Dada, every creation is very innate and very inherent. And if we can really provide the right tools, in India, we have the hustle to kind of really become the global powerhouse of IPs. And why should this whole IP creation gets limited to few studios? Like I worked in Bollywood, I worked with you in Reliance. I think that's a very strong myth that creator has two unicorns. I think all of us have a bent of creation. Given the tools, we can really optimize and improvise. And we'll have 5 million creators. And after that, I have not met in 15 years a very, very seasoned gaming founders who can say our next game is going to be hit. Nobody can, and if somebody is really telling you that I made a hit game and my second game is going to be hit and a fourth game is going to be hit, he's smoking something which you don't want to smoke, right? So in this process, if you can really give them the tools, give them the ability of jobs, I think would change. The way we look at jobs will change, because with the low-level jobs, the entry-level jobs are already at risk. So one needs to really find how do I really unleash the way I can write prompts. And those prompts are going to be very important. And that's what the second thing which we at Jedi should work and reimagine the curriculum. Curriculum on a very structured table of content which let's say with Whistling Woods I design is no more valid. We need to really do something more.
So, I don't keep the mic. I'll just come back to you. You know, one of your favorite subjects, the incubation, and I think the gaming incubation is going to be one of the ingredients to reach 5,000. There is something that you know, Sridhar briefed us a couple of weeks ago about pre-incubation also. So how do you think this is going to scale up to pre-incubation and incubation? Because it's a new space that most of the people would look at.
Sridhar and I have beautiful debate today morning on this topic. My view is very simple. Two things. If you look at today's startup funding, before people used to say, okay, I have a PPT, I have an idea, I have a thesis, and you will get money. Why would they need a money? Because they will need some X number of months with Y number of people, and they needed funding to fund that X into Y. That X into Y has been crashed. And now, hence, the very early stage funding is moving to show us a prototype, show us something which you can publish. And that's what I mean when creation of these tools, so that output is no more something in abstract. Output is real, output is launched, and that to me is a pre-incubation, right? After that, when the leveling up or democratization of the tools and skill sets have happened, how do you really then go more deeper is what the incubation will come in, where you are thrown in the deep end with the right mentorship and funding, and then you would kind of really figure out. The third thing, in my opinion, difference between pre-incubation and incubation would be, incubation would be a lot more about, maybe let's say 80% about go-to-market strategies and scaling, while pre-incubation would be about prototype, rapid prototyping, and all that stuff. So that's how I see a very strong distinction in the quote-unquote, Shiri's favorite word, entrepreneur apprenticeship program versus an incubation program.
Thank you very much. Coming to Akshat. Akshat, while you want to speak, you definitely can cover that. But my question to you is that, you know, we have seen, you have recently taken Comic-Con to Assam also, and that was the first exposure to Northeast. And we get a lot of creative talent from there across India. You know, now it's no longer a thing that, you know, it will come only from the film cities or so-called media and entertainment cities where the films were made, then the television programming was made. That's where the animation visual effects started. Now it's kind of getting delivered from all over. And the gaming in particular, we have seen some of the Northeast kids from Mizoram and from Nagaland create some unique games with a small team of 4 people. What do you see as a future for this 2-tier, 3-tier, 4-tier kind of kids coming into this space right now?
I'm going to say lots of controversial things because that's who I am. Something from what Manish has said. You know, you will not have PowerPoint pitch decks. You will have prototype pitch decks. That means there will be a lot more people who will want to be entrepreneurs. The ability to be an entrepreneur is going to be very easy. The way to think about this, and there was a question that was asked in the last panel from the lady from Dubai, what's the difference between Bollywood or Hollywood and how AI will go ahead and affect that in this AI age? The old definition of Bollywood is dead. The old definition of Hollywood is dead. Lots of Hollywood and Bollywood studios will want to go ahead and invest in the new medium on gaming and gaming with AI because they got skipped. The West will hate AI. Okay? They'll hate AI for the creation because of the destruction it can cause. So America, whether you're an artist, you will believe that, oh my God, you're building comics with AI. This is so bad. You're losing jobs. And this fundamentally comes because they consider human life far more valuable than the East. The East loves AI. China loves AI. Japan will love AI. Korea will love AI. India will love AI. The reason which is there is because we'll consider it a tool, because it serves us, and it is something that will make our life better somehow, which is there. So Asia will consider AI to be beneficial to them. West will consider AI to be evil and detrimental to them, whether it is for their value creation, whether it is for content, whether it is for originality, whether it is for whatever which is there. You'll also have micro-entrepreneurship happening, which will mean the number of failures will go up. Why? Because it is easy to go ahead and start a startup because Sridhar and I can sit today morning and by today evening have a startup ready because it's an idea that is ready. But many of us will fail more because of that, right? So what will happen is there will be a huge number of failures at the bottom. There'll be a medium number, and the total thing, 80% people will be mediocre. The 20%, the big studios, the big ideas, all will elevate into price. So really good successes will become super successes. So and that's why we are seeing in 10 years ago, the biggest valuation of a company in the world was $20 billion. It's $2 trillion right now. In 10 years, we've gone from $20 billion to $2 trillion. Like 100x increase in value which is there. But the total amount of wealth is still the same. So if the wealth is all going towards the top for the best companies, where does the bottom go, right? So there is a lot of destruction that is happening at the bottom, despite the fact that there is more money being printed. And the last one, which is extremely important for understanding for India, there is a difference between business, which creates wealth and value from success, versus government. I think the government's not in the business of making money. Some people will think they are. They are not in the business. They shouldn't be in the business of making money. Government's in the business of building capabilities and structure and infrastructure, right? And hence, I've said this in a panel before with you, and I'm saying it again in front of everyone from TiE, the business of the government is to have sustainable failures. If government funds 100 kids, 90 of them are going to be failures, but 90 of them didn't go drop out. They tried something, they hired 4 more people, they tried to go ahead and do this. We'll go from official education to skilled experiences coming in very quickly because those people will learn how to fail fast. You'll learn how to go ahead and build a company. You'll understand what is game design. You'll take from theory to practical extremely fast to go ahead and have these iterative cycles. So I think governments should invest in sustainable failures that will go ahead and have the 90 people who fail, 10 of them try again, 20 of them try again, and then they become super successes. Because there's no other way to get from there to there.
I think very well said, in fact, and as an effort from the industry, we actually formed a AVGC XR task force in the central government and have created the Create in India mission for AVGC XR in the center so that we have a roadmap. At the same time, with about 11 states, we already have an AVGC XR separate policy, and we are looking at a huge amount of kids making it their way of life and also becoming entrepreneurs. One such organization we also have in Rajasthan called Rajasthan AVGC XR and Media Association called Rama, and we have Nitin Jain, I think, sitting here, who is the convener of Rama here. And they are also a part of the Comic-Con. So we have consciously built ecosystems of all the AVGC XR stakeholders in every state. About 18 states we have an association now, and about 11 states we have a policy. We are working with 7 more states to have a policy. Having actually looked at all these things, and I think the next big state is going to be having those kind of funds which can actually, make small ideas go big in various forms. And of course, failures would be a part of that ecosystem, and we need to drive it together on those fronts. My question to any of you can take it, ideas is one thing. The most important thing is greenlighting of those ideas, and also finding the right publishers or the right people who would take it to the next level. How are we going to bring both of them together? Of course, Comic-Con is one such effort where we have a matching program. We do that in film, in FICCI. We have a Frame Your Idea where studios come and sit in like hundreds of numbers, and the idea owners go and pitch them, and about 100, 200 ideas get picked up in a year. How do we really see it happening in the gaming ecosystem? And also the comic side.
Yeah. So to start with, a couple of things. A insanely talented person, people will line up to help them. There's never going to be a problem for a talented person to get access to funding or mentorship or anything. They just filter out. That's been how the world works. But as Akshat said, what we are seeing more and more is people only have 2 moods, right? One is obviously your ability to build things quickly. The speed can be a moat, right? That's the one thing. How fast can you build your product or game or anything you're doing? How fast can you do it, right? That's the primary one. The second one is go to market, right? Do you have the ability to get people to use your product or whatever you're doing? How do you get it in hands? How do you make money from it, right? So, and that's where some of these incubators are going to be helping, right? Where we are right now. I mean, as Manish said, where the discussion is what is the pre-incubation work in incubation. Incubation focuses on go-to-market. Pre-incubation focus on helping them build products, right? And getting them to learn how to build products, how to make sure they know how to build them quickly, right? So that's the focus. Anybody thinking of building companies, you have to figure out right now, if you are not an IITian, if you're not like a second-time entrepreneur who built a successful company and you're building this second one, then you only have these 2 things to work with. One is, hey, you have to be insanely fast, right? It's like nobody is talking months anymore. It has to be days, maximum weeks, right? To build something, get it in front of people who could potentially pay for it. And the second one is, how do you get it in front of people? Is that your strength? So that's at a high level, my thought process.
So I think just to build on, Ashish, what you said, Comic-Con is becoming a platform for budding comics guys to really showcase. FICCI Frame Your Ideas become. At Jedi, the Gaming Jam is a platform for us to identify rough diamonds across the grassroots and kind of bring them to the fore. Followed up with Indie 40 showcase, which we do at IGDC, which becomes a platform for us to really showcase the top 40 guys in India. And then further filtering of that is taking some of those talented guys to Game Developer Conference or Tokyo Game Show for a global perspective. So at Jedi, we have a tiered structure of really kind of taking somebody which could be in Indore or could be in Bhubaneswar or could be in Ranchi, and how do we kind of put them in a Tokyo and in London? I think that's the journey. We are their partners.
No, I think very well said. In fact, it's a very rock solid foundation, guys, that most of the stakeholders who came into this industry in the last 2 decades have set up for India to grow. And having traveled across India and have formed these associations and meeting many of the creators, I can tell you there are about 40 creators from Rajasthan are showcased in the Comic-Con this time. And thanks to Akshat and his team, a big round of applause for them. Every state that we go to, they actually showcase the local talent, and that's enabling them to really look at the world. But I can tell you one thing, the kind of designs that we are seeing, and especially after COVID, when people actually worked on these Indian stylization, we don't have enough time, but we know that there is something that you all like, is called manga, which was a style created by Japanese people in comic books. And when it gets animated, it's called anime. And today we have the largest amount of anime fans in India. By the way, Patna happens to be the biggest city with anime fans, and Nagpur happens to be the second biggest city with anime fans. So the thing is that what it can actually do to actually build your character brands and tell your stories across the globe, please make sure that you subscribe to some of this Indian stylization, and you will see what we are able to see, which is in the foundational areas right now with individual artists. Today we have a unique emergence of Indian styles from various cultures across the state, and the stylizations that happened in the folk form and the art forms that India had is now coming to the digital ecosystem, and you're going to see that the next big waves and next big IPs are going to come from India and make a big round. You want to say something?
I'll just close this off by going and saying, you know, we all believe that we have not arrived, we need to arrive, we need to get bigger, and we need to go and do this. Marvel, Stan Lee was bankrupt twice. Not once, twice. Hulk was sold at $1. $1, right? We've all gone through this phase where no one believes in content and IPs for a very long time, and then Witcher. The guy who wrote The Witcher actually wrote it in Polish, and his total revenue from all books, his royalties that he got was $112,000. That's all he made for Witcher. Till the time there's someone like a CD Projekt Red came in and said, I want to go ahead and do this, I need a believer. It needs fools, please don't get me wrong, I'm not calling any of you fools, I'm included in this. It needs fools like us to go ahead and believe in something. Because one of us fools will be successful. And whichever one of us is successful, we will have what I call the Zynga moment, the Reliance moment, the Zapak moment, the Marvel moment, the Flipkart moment, the number of millionaires and the number of startups that come. Failure brings success, success brings even more success. Yeah. So all you need is one of us to be successful, and it'll be fine. No one knows who it's going to be, and if we go ahead and just support each other, it'll be fine. So we're there. We're much better than most other people believe.
I think, again, well said. The issue is we saw this emerging. 117 years of Indian cinema, we were told that we have not been able to make a global brand. But let me tell you guys, the first global brand from India in media and entertainment space was made by Mighty Little Bheem, which is popular in more than 200 countries. And we wanted that owner to come here, but he was busy with something else, so he couldn't come. But we have the second brand called Deepa and Anup, again on Netflix, which is amongst the top 5 animation shows. But Mighty Little Bheem was general entertainment and animation both put together. It was the #1 show for a long period of time, and it's getting into its 8th season right now. So I think the next big stories that are going to be known, and the character brands and the show brands are going to be from the space of AVGC XR, and especially the video game. We wanted to discuss about esports also, but we don't have enough time. We would actually get another opportunity to discuss about that. But having said that, let me tell you some more statistics. When we started AVGC XR in India, we were just merely about 9% of the total media and entertainment universe about 25 years ago. Today, we are 43% of the media and entertainment universe. And gaming is the single largest vertical in the media and entertainment industry today, bigger than the cinema and television put together. And this is what is going to be the big story. We are very sure that AVGC XR would be more than 55% of the media and entertainment ecosystem in the next 3 to 4 years' time itself. And big thank you to all these stakeholders who have actually put their efforts and seamlessly worked even after failures and bankruptcy to come back with budding ideas and making sure that they believe that these ideas are going to go places. India is definitely the next big idea space, and you're going to see the IP coming out of here. We will talk about, we talked about scale in a little way, but what we are actually doing is building the bottom of the pyramid more rock solid so that we can have the middle of the pyramid and the top of the pyramid actually getting built with the wisdom that these stakeholders have actually created over the last 2.5 decades. Having said that, again, a big thank you for TiE Global team and the Rajasthan DigiFest and the government of Rajasthan for setting this up and making sure that AVGC XR is also a part of the complete ecosystem. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. It was indeed a very insightful session. And I'll request the moderator to please felicitate all our speakers as well. Yes. Thank you so much. I'll now request our moderator to please felicitate all our speakers as well. Thank you to each and every speaker. I mean, really deep insights and some very interesting, thought-provoking ideas came up in this entire session. And everybody who's sitting here in the audience, I'm sure that you all got great insights. And the only way to let them know that, yes, whatever you said sparked a fire in us is to clap and let them know, have that smile on the face. And I'm sure you must be having a lot of questions. I wish this panel had a Q&A round as well, but because of paucity of time, we had to stop. But anybody here, if you have your questions, please make sure that you ask to the panelists, because something very interesting and very different. I'm sure that when something different happens, it's too intriguing for us to learn and to have those questions. So please keep those questions in your mind and ask them as well. And once again, thanks to each and every speaker. I mean, you traveled all across, you came here, gave your time, and shared the insight with so much of enthusiasm. I think this clearly reflects of the kind of passion you carry for your work. So thank you so much, everyone. Thanks once again. With this, thanks to the entire audience also. We'll be starting with another session at 2 p.m. But right now, we'll be breaking out for the lunch. So we'll meet back exactly at 2 p.m. I'll request you all to come back by 1:55. Looking forward to meet you all. Thank you so much.